Hello and welcome back to the channel, guys, and welcome to a brand new series. We are going to do some FM tier lists. Today we are going to be doing roles, and I'm joined by a very, very special guest, Mr. SecondYellowCard. How you doing, my man?
I'm terrific, man. How are you?
I am very, very good. I'm very excited to have you on the channel. Thank you for being the first guest.
No worries.
So, basically what the idea of this series is, guys, we're going to get things from a Football Manager. We're going to stick them in the tier list. Me and SecondYellowCard are going to go through each of the roles we've got on here today. We have to agree on each one. So there may be a little bit of arguing, a little bit of a debate going on, but we have to come to an agreement on each of these roles. So let's kick the first one off. We are going to go advanced forward. Where do you think we should put it?
I mean, it's such a... I'm a proper basic bitch when it comes to striker roles, so advanced forward is like my bread and butter. So like I'd have it extremely high up just on that alone because I'm too like scared to use anything else most of the time.
I mean, I kind of have to agree.
Occasionally I might slide into a pressing forward every now and then if I'm feeling particularly fancy.
bit fruity and naughty.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think to kick it off, what do you think about 4-star? Because we're gonna do 5-star highest, obviously, and then 1-star lowest.
I think there's room for stuff above it for those particularly naughty roles.
I'm down for that. So, okay, this is going on a little bit too swell. We're agreeing too early, I think.
So we agree on everything.
Yeah, should be a 2-minute video. Second one, Anchorman.
It's not a role I've used all that much.
I like this role. If you put it with a DLP and have the two defensive midfielders, I find like an Anchorman and a DLP is quite good. But I normally get more out of the Anchorman. You don't notice an Anchorman very much, I don't think.
I guess that's kind of the point of them, really. You don't tend to notice, like a boat, you don't tend to notice the anchor, really, I guess.
Exactly.
It's all about that yacht.
So where are you thinking about this one?
I mean, for me, I think I have used it. It's probably been a few years. I haven't played a double DM system that probably would have made use of it for a while. I played a double DM system last year, but I had a DM and a DLP sat next to each other, and that kind of did the trick for that one for whatever reason. And I felt that I didn't need that extra kind of, because an Anchorman is very much a case of, I'm going to sit here and scoop up balls and give it to the guy that knows what he's doing. And I don't know, I think I'd put it for me, it's like a 2 or a 3.
I think I agree. I would go probably a 2. I think with that role, you've got kind of the Anchorman, the DM, and the halfback. They're very similar sort of things, I think.
Yeah.
They might be completely different if you actually look into it properly, but I always get the feeling that's what they all kind of do the same sort of job.
I feel like they're almost certainly not interchangeable, but I use them as if they are.
Read the instructions, guys. Apparently that helps.
Exactly. Never. Okay,
ball playing defender. I'm going to kick this off. I think I'm going to go 3 for this one, for me. I don't know how you feel about that one.
Yeah, I mean, ball-playing defenders, one of those things that I always feel like I'm going to use them, because I tend to start a lot of my saves in lower leagues, and a ball-playing defender is like like gold dust down there. It's just not something you do because, like, I mean, other teammates would laugh at him for a start, but like, I'm always like, I'll switch to ball-playing defenders when I move up the league and when we get into the Champions League, and I just never do because I'm so happy with the tactical shape as it goes. I'll sign loads of players that are great passing and all that, but then I never actually use them as ball-playing defenders, so I feel like 3 is probably about right for that one, because I mean, I suppose it depends on what we're really ranking it on, but as far as how I've used it and what experience I have with it, for me, that 3 is probably about right. Like, I think I could definitely get more out of it.
See, I'd agree. I think this is the first year I've probably stopped using a ball-playing defender as much, because I found early on in FM, the cycle anyway, there was a lot of defenders that just pumping the ball forward no matter what.
Yeah.
And so I took the ball-playing defender off, because if you obviously read it, they are to start counter-attacks and stuff like that. I think people get confused by this role quite a lot. They will assume because he's a ball-playing defender, he's going to be good with the ball and he's going to play it short. When it actually does, it says they're going to try and launch counter-attacks.
Yeah, so I think that's the opposite of what you want most of the time. You kind of want them to give it to someone, again, who knows what he's doing, like a DLP.
Yeah.
Or Libero, you can sort of get away with them doing a bit more silly nonsense, which I have tried this year.
I can't get them to work.
Oh, it worked for the first, before they did the first major update, I had a back 5 with a Libero in the middle, and it actually worked. And then they updated it and it broke, So he would push into midfield, basically, and act like an extra midfielder.
Yeah, okay, we're agreed again. Box to box for this one, next one.
Box to box. I've kind of gone off of it.
Me
I was
too.
using it a lot towards the start of the year.
Yeah, same.
On both my saves, I had box to box midfielders, and then over the year, I've kind of moved away from them towards things like Mezzala.
Yeah, okay.
They just feel more, I don't know what it is about the box to box. They're so unreliable, I find. Considering he's supposed to be going from box to box, half the time right where I wanted to be on the edge of the area to take that shot, they're just never there.
Yeah.
Or he's gone too deep. It's just, I don't know. For me, it's like, if you'd have asked me like 3 or 4 months ago, I'd have said like a 4, but now I'm leaning towards like a 2.
Okay. See, I think, again, in previous FMs, especially like the last 2, box to boxes has been very, very good. This one, I'm kind of going a 3 or a 2. I'm not sure what you want to do for this one.
Oh, God. Let's say 3. Let's give him a chance, since I liked him to begin with.
I'll do that. This one's an interesting one, and one I've not actually used too much. A Carrilero. If you ever use a Carrilero, please put it in the comments, because I don't think there'll be many people saying that.
Please do let us know what it does. I'd like to
I know
use
it's a water carrier.
It says the water carrier. Because now I know all about what that does.
I mean, I've seen the film The Water Boy. If it's anything like that, then I'll just take him up here as a 5.
You don't want the water carrier next to the anchor. You're in real trouble then.
Exactly. That is a sinking ship waiting to happen.
I think that it's like whenever I use it, it seems to link up with the wide players a lot more. I'm not sure exactly how. It seems to be best using like a midfield 3 from what I remember, and I never use midfield 3.
They're meant to be like a lateral sort of midfield role, but for me, I'm going to throw this out there. This will be a 1 for me.
Yep, no, I'm fully in agreement with that. I've never used it, and anytime I have, I've always regretted it.
All right, I'll put it on. He'll get like a 6.8. I'm like, well, did he do anything? I don't really remember.
Yeah. He's just sort of there.
This is one of my favourite roles. This is probably my favourite role, DLP.
I love a DLP, except on FM21.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of people say DLPs don't work, but I've had some very good success with DLPs this year.
I have tried them on both my saves, and they just seem to... last year, they were, like, beautiful.
Amazing last year,
They just key pass machines. Yeah. They would just rack up numbers by just existing. And now it's like they... Or maybe they're actually still racking up just good numbers, and maybe the game's just not crediting them the same way.
Yeah, the stats aren't quite true this year, are they?
They're super underrated, I suppose. Like they just get really poor ratings constantly. Like in order for them to get like above a 7, they have to actually contribute a goal or an assist in a game. And because they're so deep most of the time, they don't get the assist. They get like the hockey assist, and it just doesn't give them anything. So I've moved away from DLPs for the most part. So for me,
I'm still using one, but it'll be like you say, they'll either get a 7.8 or a 6.2.
Yeah, they just slowly drop throughout the game.
Yeah.
Unless they do something at all, which I guess is a lot of roles, but they don't seem to get any points for credit.
Yeah, for me, I would say 5 for me on this game still. I still really rate them, but I think this might be the first one we disagree on, so where do you want to go?
I would say 3, because overall, out of like all my experiences with DLPs, they're still like really, really decent. It's just my experience with them this year has been down, but maybe we should meet halfway and go 4.
I can agree with that. I think that's fair. I want 5, you want 3. I think that the only fair thing to do is we'll go 4.
Exactly.
I'll go with that. Enganche for the next one. I like this role. I have used this twice this year, and I've got really good performances out of it. And I'm doing a fairly similar save to you. I started like a journeyman in the Nordic leagues, where I had to win the top 5 Nordic leagues, and then we ended in Denmark, and it's now turned into a build nation. So I think we won 6 league titles in 5 years or 7 years. So we did really, really well. And I used Enganche twice because I had these really old players, because I was obviously free contract, signing really old players who can't run. And I get there that was in the Nordic League, so the leagues aren't great, and the Enganches seem to do better. But anytime I've tried to use them in the Premier League, or I think I even did a Barcelona save last year, and I tried Messi as an Enganche, did not rate it.
I found that when I put a play, like I did some testing when I was working with Bolton to use I have a shadow striker, but I thought I would see what he's like as an Enganche, and he seemed to rack up good ratings, but it didn't help the team out. It was like he was getting lots of He looked really bloody good, but the rest of the team was just doing nothing, because I don't know what the difference is. I mean, is that the one where they kind of just sit there and pivot everything around?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the sort of players that you want for that, I suppose that's because you've got sort of slower, older players. It sort of makes sense. If they've probably got good passing stats too, they can sort of feed teammates, I guess. I think I'd probably... I've got to be harsh at some point, but then again, there's still some I can see some others coming up soon that I'm going to have to slam. So I think I'll be fair with an Enganche and say I think it could work, but I've just not found a way to make it work for my entire team. So I'd say a 3.
I think I would agree a 3. I would agree. The next one, false 9. I've had no success with this ever.
No, me neither. I mean, it's the falsest of all the roles. Its name makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
It's just it feels like the difference between a false 9 and a shadow striker is that a shadow striker seems to be effective. And from what I can tell, obviously they operate in slightly different ways, but whenever I've got a choice of that kind of deeper role that I want to be making those late runs or whatever, or filling in for a striker. I guess you wouldn't use a false 9 probably with a striker in front, but I'd always use the shadow striker in that situation. Even when I played a strikerless tactic last year, I still used.
I think that's what a lot of people do now. They don't. They say strikerless and they put 2 shadow strikers, and it's like it's a little bit of a cheat way of getting around the strikerless because they act like
strikerless in name only.
Yeah, I saw someone was using a 4 attacking midfield role, and it was like 2 attacking wingers and then 2 shadow strikers, and he was like, "This is revolutionary. It's different." I was like, "Well, in reality, you're playing a 4-2-4." Because they're going to act as like strikers nearly, and then you've just
got basically strikers when in possession.
Yeah, it's like 4-2-4. It's not that revolutionary. It just looks weird.
Shadow strikers are sick though.
Yeah, I mean, I've not used enough of them. I think I might need to try them more.
I have a player that is just like the best shadow striker. I can't put anyone else in there. No matter what happens, if I put someone else in that role, like he racks up key passes like no one I've ever seen play as a shadow striker, which shouldn't make any sense to me, but. He gets like 6 times the number of key passes as anyone else I put in the same position, which doesn't make any sense. But it works. I think it's because he's got that power to drive on and feed off strikers, but it works. But anyway, that's the shadow striker. Enough about that. Yeah, I'm giving it a 1. We are doing
false 9, by the way, guys.
I'm saying a 1.
I'd agree. Yeah, I don't like shadow strikers. False 9s. Next one, inverted winger. I am going to start this one off. I would say 5. I love an inverted winger in the last 2 FMs, especially on attack. I think they really do well.
Completely see to your knowledge on that, as it's one of those things where, again, if I've got a choice between an inverted winger and an inside forward, I'm always too quick to jump on the inside forward train. Obviously, I know you can play an inverted winger slightly deeper, and that's, I guess, the advantage of it, that there's more versatility with the role. But I have just got no experience, and maybe I'd have to try one out. If you say they're as good as you say they are, then maybe that's the key for me.
For me, I was always an inside forward guy, and then I switched to an inverted winger last FM, I think it was, and I've never gone back.
Is the difference that the inside forward is more of a scoring role, and the inverted winger is more of a creative role, or a supporting role, I guess?
See, I always think of the inverted winger compared to the inside forward as basically the same role, but the winger will be a little bit wider and a little bit further back. And I find I do better with them. And to be fair, goal scoring wise, I've not seen that much of a difference. I get as many goals with inverted wingers as I do inside forwards.
It's almost like you get the best of both worlds then.
Yeah, I think that's probably why I've favoured towards them. And I think that's probably why I'd say a 5.
Yeah, no, I'll go with you on that then, because I'm not even using inside forwards this year. That was my big thing for like the last few years. Is I love an inside forward, but this year with the tactics I've been playing, there's just been no room for them.
Yeah,
sort of forced myself into a different comfort zone to try out new things.
Yeah, I need to do that and not use wingers. I've used wingers for the last 5-6 years.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I tried with Bolton. I've been using one winger.
Yeah. Okay.
And then like it's a weird. It's like a 5-2. I can't even explain it. It's a back 3 with then wing backs, but one of the wing backs is an inverted wing back.
Okay.
And then there's a midfield pairing with a shadow striker in front, and then there's a right advanced winger, and then a striker, but that's offset to the left. So it's, for whatever reason, it kind of works.
Yeah. Okay, because I think as well another misconception a lot of people will get, and they hear inverted winger or inverted fullback or anything like that. I think they feel like the player is going to come inside all the time, and he's going to sit in the middle. And from like I say, using inverted winger, they sit wide a lot. They sit a lot, really wide, especially when you have one in attack. They will sit out wide, and as soon as they get the ball, they'll either, depending on what player instructions you give them, they'll just dribble inside and they'll cut across the box sort of thing, and then try and shoot or play a through ball. It's good.
Inverted wingbacks tend to do that too. Like one of the things I found about them is that when you're in possession, essentially they just become an extra midfielder.
Yeah.
And then, but a midfielder that's got a sort of license to roam forward and drive with the ball. They almost act like a box to box that starts way deeper.
Yeah. But they do sit quite they still sit wide enough to do their defensive duties without the ball, I find.
When the moment you lose the ball, they just basically become a normal fullback.
Yeah, and that's what I think. I think people don't see that. I think sometimes because they think inverted winger, they're always going to be inside.
Yeah, I suppose it's sort of. I can understand the logic to that, but they just have very different positioning with and without the ball. It's quite stark when you see how different they are positioned.
Yeah. Okay, the next one's an interesting one, as you've already spoke about it. Libero.
Oh, Libero. I do love a Libero. I say I love a Libero. I've used it for like 2 months, and it was glorious. Because it was just such a cool thing to see a centre-back pick the ball up and just drive into midfield. It's a weird thing, and I don't think the AI could really handle it that much. I'd like to give it a 4. I would have said a 5. But
Okay.
it's been it feels like it's been nerfed, or it's just my tactics. But it depends because you've not had the best experiences with
So
them.
I've not had the best experience. So if you want to go 4, I would say a 2 or a 3. So
We could go 3 then. Meet in the middle.
okay, yeah, well, I'm happy with that. So we've got quite a few in the 3s, which is quite good. Next one, Mezzala.
Oh, this is a 5 for me. I love them at Mezzala.
Do you know what? I'm going to make this short and sweet and put it in
It's
5
just-
as well.
they're
I
so
love
good.
Mezzalas.
They just get things done.
They really do, yeah. They're so efficient. They score goals. They do midfield duties and stuff. They're obviously they're not defensive, but that's not their role. That's not what you're asking them to do.
But even on support, they can still win the ball back quite nicely for me, I find.
Yeah, and like I say, they press quite high as well. They press quite efficiently as well, I think.
Yeah, if you're using a high press or any kind of quite extreme pressing, they are they're like predators in the midfield that just hunt people down. It's great.
Have you ever used a double Mezzala yet?
No, that's I haven't been quite that drunk yet.
See, I can't get that to work. I've tried it a few times.
I would love to do one of those weird ones where you actually use the sort of double. I always feel like I have to have some kind of asymmetry with my roles, except for I've done the double advance forward.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
but
I
everything
like
else,
that.
I always have to have a pairing of something and something else. Otherwise, I feel like it's imbalanced in some way, even though it's the opposite of that. But
Okay, next one, Poacher.
oh, for me, a poacher's kind of like an advanced forward. It's just like the base model.
Yeah.
If you think of like an advanced forward as like the car with all the added extras, it's got air conditioning. A poacher's just like, no, you're going to be hot in the summer, but you'll score goals.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And-
He does less hard work and dribbling as well and stuff like that.
He's just there when you need him. He does all the he does a lot of the same things as the advanced forward when he's not got the ball, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you can't just give the ball to him and expect him to make plays, I guess.
Yeah.
Useful though in the lower leagues, particularly when you just want someone to get on the end of things. A poacher and a target man pairing.
Oh, the little and large combo.
Yeah,
the Jermaine Defoe and Peter Crouch roles.
Exactly.
So, what's your experience with them? Have you had good experiences or bad?
It's normally that role that I never ever use as like a base role in a tactic. But if I'm in a game and I'm just like, right, I'm getting sick of you dropping deep to pick the ball up, you just get on the shoulder of the last defender and bloody stay there. And if I find like there's a gap for doing that, that's when I'll switch them to a poacher. But most of the time, I wouldn't ever use it as like a starting point in my tactics. Maybe I should. Maybe I'm just getting old and set in my ways.
See, I've not had much experience or luck with them. I would probably go a 2 for me.
Yeah,
What
I'd
would
say
you
they have their. Yeah, I'd say 2 as well because
Okay.
it's between a 2 and a 1 because I think that at least they have like a purpose for me.
Yeah. Okay, the next one this is one that I really want to use. I really want to be successful with it, and I've had no success with it. And I've tried it multiple times. A Raumdeuter.
Yeah, I remember when they first brought it into the game, and I did a Fulham save, and I had Ryan Sessegnon, and the game was like, this guy's a Raumdeuter, and I'm like, excellent, I'm going to use him as a Raumdeuter, and then it just didn't work, and I just ended up putting him back to being an inside forward again, because he just didn't do what I thought the role was supposed to do, and maybe that's because I was just misinformed,
Yeah.
but I was under the impression that the whole point was the space investigator.
Yeah.
But then I was like, but that's quite an abstract concept, so what does that actually mean in practice? I guess it's like the Thomas Muller type of player.
Yeah.
But I just didn't. Yeah, it just didn't really work for me. I'd love it to work, but maybe you need specialist players, specialist tactics. I don't know. I'm not smart enough for that sort of thing. For me, 2 or a 1.
I think I'm going to go 1.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
I even set up a tactic just to sort this out, and I had certain roles. I had the Raumdeuter on his own over here on the left. I had the striker like on the right hand side of the strike force on his own.
Yeah.
I had a right winger, and I literally set it up so the ball would be played down the right most of the time, and the
So you
Raumdeuter
could-
would try and be like on his own over there, and I couldn't get it to work. So yeah. Segundo volante is the next one.
I think I've used it once.
I've used it multiple times for like 4 or 5 games at a time and seen nothing from it. I just can't get it to work.
Isn't that's the defensive midfield role that has an attacking duty, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and you have to play him on like the left or the right hand side.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's a way to make these things work, and if I took the time,
I've
I
heard
could
of
probably
people
learn
doing
it.
really well with them. Really,
I think
well.
I heard someone play. Can you play double Segundo volantes?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where I saw someone playing double, and I was just like, "Yep, that's too rich for me. I have no clue how to use them." I don't know. It's kind of like getting. I think a lot of the roles I use are kind of like really basic tools, like it's a saw, it's a drill, whereas that's like a full on lathe, and I wouldn't want to chop my fingers off by trying to use it.
Okay, so where do you think would you say?
Honestly, I feel like it has to be a 1 again.
See,
me.
I would probably go a 2, but I'm happy to go 1 on this. I'll go with you because I've had no success.
Too harsh.
I think
I've had no success with it
yeah,
either.
I think I want it to be better than it is for me.
Yeah, it
And
sounds
I will
like
get
it'd
it
be
to work
fun.
one day.
Yeah, indeed. It's like a nice holiday that your mates went on.
Yeah, exactly.
He told me it was good, but I can't get used to it.
Yeah. Shadow Striker. I mean, I think we know you're going to go high with this.
Yeah.
So whereabouts you want to put it?
Oh, I feel like it's up there for me with a Mezzala. I love a Shadow Striker this year anyway. I've had limited success in the past, but something about it in my current tactic with Bolton is just lethal.
So
it's a goal scoring and assist machine.
I've never had no success with it, so for me it'd be like a 3 maybe.
Okay, well, we
roll,
could go halfway at
4?
4. Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm definitely going to try it because my problem is I always have an advanced playmaker on attack. I love that role.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favourite roles in the game.
So when you're designing an attacking midfield, there's not really any room for a Shadow Striker.
So I think I might need to try it though. I feel like these conversations
you have to
maybe want to use
around it. Yeah, I'm looking at all these roles that I just completely gloss over, and I'm wondering if I could build a shape using those other fancy ass ones.
We should now go into a save and have to just use these ones.
Oh, God,
I've got no idea if it would work. But
it doesn't matter. It'd be fun.
For the final one is a wingback.
I like a wingback.
Yeah, I think
like
wingbacks are very solid. It's better than a fullback for me, and it's better than an inverted wingback.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, inverted wingbacks, I like the idea of, and it does seem to sort of still work in my tactic, but the player itself doesn't always perform that well. With a wingback, it doesn't on Bolton because I only have, the only forward movement on my left side with Bolton is my wingback. Yeah. So he's a bit isolated, and he's got no protection, but I just really like them as a role. Even if it's not like the advanced version of the wingback where it's actually in its own role, I still like them as instead of a fullback. If I've got a choice most of the time, I tend to use a wingback, at least on one side.
Yeah.
I don't know, like a 4 for me, maybe? I don't think it's quite like peak.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's not quite up there, but wingback, solid 4. It's close to being one of the best roles, but it's not quite for me.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So, do you know what? That went a lot smoother than I thought it would.
Yeah, it's a nice, pretty picture. It's balanced. We didn't just put them all in 5.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we was, if anything, some could say we were a little bit too harsh, and we only had 2 5s.
Well, if everything's a 5, then nothing is.
Well, I couldn't have said it better myself. But no, I really appreciate you coming on though and helping me out with this new series idea.
No worries.
How did you find it?
It was good fun. I look forward to watching the others.
Awesome. Right, guys. Really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, hit that little bell so you can see when the next video goes live. Appreciate you watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.